Thanks for the warm welcome. Well, really excited to be here at MAU this week. Maybe we can get a show of hands for whose first MAU is this? It's mine, so I'll raise my hand. What about second MAU? Who's been here for more than like 4 MAU conferences?
Wow.
All right. So it's a good conference. It's a good sign. Well, we're excited to chat a little bit today about CMO's playbook on using AI. And I'm Tejas, co-founder and co-CEO at Hightouch, and I'll be joined with Jon, the CMO of Fundrise, one of our customers, who's going to really dive into how they're using AI across content generation, content optimization, personalization, and more. So first, let's get a quick show of hands. How many of you feel like you can really deliver personalized customer experiences at scale today? All right, well, I didn't get too many hands. I think one hand total here. Yeah. So that's what we're gonna be talking about. And all the pieces of the puzzle that make it happen, from content creation to orchestration of that content to understanding customer intent and how AI can really disrupt that process end to end. As brands, as mobile apps, as companies, we have more data about our customers than ever. Every engagement is going digital these days and in one way, shape, or form. And it's just a huge amount of customer data. At the same time, we also have more tools than ever. Think about like ad networks. It's not just the walled gardens anymore, or MarTech platforms or digital experience platforms. There's just like so many. I think Scott Brinker, the chief martech.com guy, recently mentioned that there's like 12,000 platforms that companies are using today. But at the same time, when it comes to actually driving personalization, like each and every one of these tools talks about how they can be used to drive personalization over some customer experience or some sort of marketing channel. But when it comes to actually doing personalization as a marketing team, it feels a lot like this, pushing a boulder up a hill. And this idea that there's so many possibilities, it's a real big challenge to figure out what's the right time to send the right content to the right customer on the right channel. It's this thing we've talked about for like 10 years as marketing and growth teams, but still is a struggle today, even for our team here at Hightouch. And we think there's a better way, and we're excited to dive into that. So I'll pass it over to Jon, the CMO at Fundrise, to dive into how they're using AI to transform this process at scale.
Yeah, thank you so much, Tejas. My name is Jon Carden. I'm the CMO and head of growth at Fundrise. And if you haven't heard of Fundrise, well, it makes me feel like I'm not doing a very good job, but I have a chance to rectify that right now. Fundrise is the largest platform of its kind in the US, and we're primarily known for democratizing access to real estate private equity, private credit, venture capital for retail investors. And we were founded in 2012, and in that time, we've grown now to manage more than $3 billion and serve more than 2 million people across the US. As you can imagine, my job is to make those two numbers go up and to the right forever and ever and ever. And really what that comes down to is 3 things. 1, we want to acquire more investors. Everybody in this room, not just kidding, you don't have to invest, but we want to acquire more investors. 2, we want to engage with the investors that we've acquired. And then 3, we also want to even win back investors who for some reason or other have cycled off the platform. And so we have a lot of opportunities for doing that. One that makes us a little bit unique is we're not just an investment platform, we're also the asset manager. So we have this incredible depth of content just kind of waiting to be plumbed within our portfolio. But I think what's true for most people is your strength can also be a weakness, or it can be a huge challenge, which is we have this increasingly broad investor base. We started when I joined, we had like 20,000 investors. It's getting broader and broader. We have 18-year-olds who this is their first ever investment. They're investing $10. They don't know what ROI means. And then we have 55-year-old professional real estate investors who have forgotten more about investing than I'll ever know, and they have millions with us. We have to serve both of those customers somehow. We also have this incredibly broad array of actual assets and content that we could deliver. We started with just real estate. Now we have 3 asset classes. We manage more than 10 funds. It's increasingly broad there. And then we have different goals across the business. And so what we found, to speak to that 18-year-old about who doesn't know what ROI means, we found that the actual cost of personalization was rising exponentially as we had breadth, both in terms of the number of investors and the number of assets, and the return on that investment was dropping precipitously. And so I did what I believe is important in strategy, which is deciding what you're going to be bad at. And so I gave up. And it sounds like maybe some of you have also given up. Not very many people raised their hand when Tejas asked if you're doing a lot of personalization today. And so I just said, we're not going to do this anymore. It's not worth it for us. We're going to send one message to everybody and just sort of hope for the best. And we did that for years. And then something magical happened. And I think we all sort of had the ChatGPT moment. And now we can generate pictures of ourselves that look really cool and cartoony in seconds. And when I saw what was happening in AI, the paradigm all of a sudden shifted. And what I thought might be possible changed almost overnight. And so I started to think about, okay, how can we start to impact both sides of that ROI equation with AI? And again, speaking to that 18-year-old who does not appear to be in the room today, but there's 3 ways you can improve ROI, right? You can improve the actual rate of return that you're getting. Can you get more from what you're investing in? The second one is you can lower the cost of investment. You can get more efficient. And the third is you can do both. And the dream, dear 18-year-old, is to do both. And so that's what we set out to do. And over the last 6 to 9 months, I think we've successfully done that. So the first problem was, okay, how do we now use AI to generate a lot of content? Not just one piece of content, but a lot. The old way was I had to hire more content writers. Content sort of famously did not scale. If you wanted 20,000 words of content, you had to write 20,000 words of content. That was a major, major challenge. And I was hiring these great writers, but the team was growing so much larger, and I could not actually see the impact of that growth in the business. And then what changed is now, we have this really high bar for content at Fundrise because trust and credibility are sort of the lifeblood of our relationship with our investors. And so almost every piece of content today is written by like 3 people in the company. Those are our co-founders and me. And what we're able to do is create this one major piece of content, which is our quarterly investor letter. This is like 2,000, 3,000 words. It's the best piece of content that we can produce. And in like 20 minutes to maybe an hour and a half, I can create like 15 derivative forms of content from that one piece of content. This sort of waterfall that kicks off when we get that one piece of content really nailed. We can have a short version, we can have an FAQ, we can have a podcast outline, we can focus on particular asset classes, we can write for different personas, all from that one major piece of content. And so the results are pretty extraordinary. Again, not only can we generate actually 3 times as much content from each thing we write, but it takes about 1/3 of the time that it would have taken us before. Now, I'm not a math genius, but I think that means 9x improvement. And then the second piece is, okay, we have all this content now. How do we actually get it to the right people? And the old way was our team would sit around a table and just kind of pitch these micro segment ideas. It's like 18-year-olds who live in Portland and like real estate. And some of those things would even work. We would send an email that was like written for that audience. But those segments were so small and it was so time intensive that it almost never was ROI positive in the end. It just was very, very hard to scale. And again, the business just didn't seem to really feel it. And so when our colleagues at Hightouch approached us about their new tool, AI decisioning, my mind was genuinely blown because all of a sudden our email and content program and SMS program started to feel a lot more like the way we buy ads on Meta, for instance, where there's this famous phrase now in the ad buying world, which is the content is the targeting. So rather than having to come up with these segments and send one piece of content one at a time, now we're able to dump like 50 pieces of content and allow the agent itself to select the right person and deliver that content at the right time and at the right frequency. And all we have to do is optimize for a particular outcome. Like let's say, win back, we want to bring more dollars back on the platform. And that's exactly what's happened. We used to run a win back program that was basically us sending one communication, one piece of new content per week. And when we gave this over to Hightouch over the last 4 to 6 months, we've seen a 4x increase in the number of dollars coming back on the platform using this model. And that's requiring no intervention from my team other than producing the content. So I want to now allow Tejas to sort of peel back the curtain on what felt to me like witchcraft and actually is really, really impressive technology.
Awesome. Thanks, Jon. So we're going to dive a little bit into what's the foundation of how AI decisioning actually works. and what's the impact it drives on marketing teams. So as Jon mentioned, previously or currently, when marketing teams have 100 different ideas, like maybe this derivative of our executive summary of the market will resonate well with 18-year-olds, or maybe this will resonate well with people in DC, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. What's the way that they can go figure out if that's actually true? A bunch of A/B tests. And I know everyone here has run A/B tests in the past, and as you have more and more and more, it can get tedious, right? For every option you add, you have to wait even longer for statistical significance. There's like more moving pieces to manage. If you have multiple tests going on at once, you have to worry about noise between them. And it's just a lot of operations and work and time taken away from really being the strategic marketer and growth leader that all of us want to be. So what's the future of this workflow for marketing teams? Well, with the AI decisioning platform that we've built, we really pivot the workflow to one where you just set a goal. So as Jon mentioned, win back, right? They have a huge database of customers who haven't made an investment in a long time, or maybe ever. Maybe it's conversion to the first investment, and they just signed up for an account and did KYC and stuff like that online. And so instead of actually running a ton of different A/B tests, in the new workflow, a marketer can just create an agent that's gold on win back or lead conversion or cross-sell to a new asset class, given a ton of different actions. So those can be 100 different marketing campaigns or variants of subject lines or discount offers and some guardrails. And then the agent will go optimize and figure out what's the best one for different customers. And all of us have experienced using technology like this in the past, right? The technology is getting better and better, and there's new ways to incorporate generative AI into these technologies, for example. But fundamentally, this class of technology has existed for a while, right? If you use Netflix, you've used AI decisioning before. That content recommendation feed on the home screen of Netflix is personalized to you, right? It's different between each of your family members or friends or peers. And as you don't engage with things or do engage with things, or as they learn more about you, it changes dynamically. Same thing on Spotify. Same thing on scrolling through, a Facebook or Instagram newsfeed. Or Duolingo is actually a company that's built an in-house system kind of similar to AI decisioning and uses it for their push notifications too. So what we're doing is actually taking all these machine learning and AI technologies and bringing them to marketing and growth teams in a really usable way, and in a way that it can be incorporated into the everyday marketing process. So in our application, it's actually easy, point and click web UI, where marketing teams can come in and create an agent for each and every one of those use cases, like a win back agent, cross-sell agent, lead conversion agent, as Jon mentioned. Add in all the content that you want the agent to be able to send to different customers, or just actions you want them to take. It could be issuing a discount, triggering a web experience, sending customer an email or text message. Put in guardrails, and then actually let the agent start optimizing and see insights into what's working for different customer cohorts. And nice part about it is the way we've, fundamentally the technology doesn't mean you need to, go and change out all your email systems and digital experience systems and personalization systems. The way we've built it is actually just integrating into all of the systems you have today. So at Hightouch, our core product for many years has been a CDP. And in that process, we've built 300 integrations with advertising networks, SMS tools, marketing tools, you name it. And so we just use all those integrations in our AI decisioning platform now, which is a separate new product, so that we can actually just trigger an email in something like Iterable or Adobe or Braze or Salesforce, instead of you having to move all that into our platform. You just integrate with them. And how does this actually work at a more technical level? So, in the age of ChatGPT, I do have to clarify, we don't just stick all your customer data into a big prompt or context of an LLM and ask it what to send the customer. We actually use a technology called reinforcement learning for the basis of how the agents are making decisions. And then we'll talk about this in a second, but we layer in a number of ML models as well as generative AI models to enhance that process. So how does reinforcement learning work? Well, I like the simple analogy that credits at the bottom. I stole this from a Berkeley AI course. But basically the analogy is that imagine you had a robot in a city with a goal of just eating the best food overall. And the robot basically has two options to take at any given day or any given meal. One, go to restaurants it's already been to that it knows are good, or two, explore new restaurants that could be better, right? You don't want to be stuck in like a local maximum where you're just going to this one Italian restaurant that you really like, but there could be one that's even better in the city. And so robot has to kind of balance the idea of exploration, which is a reinforcement learning concept of like, trying new things, trying new possibilities, seeing how they work on different customers, or exploitation of like, practicing what we know is good, using insights from the past experiments it's basically run. And that's exactly what reinforcement learning does, but in an intelligent way, where instead of just sending, you have 100 possibilities, we'll send the 1% of the traffic to each of them. It's actually learning based on what's working and doubling down on the things that are working versus just trying each option equally. And in our case, obviously, the robot's not looking for food. It's taking different actions on customers, right? Sending customers an email, sending customers a push notification, and balancing between the known good that gets you to the business metrics you need and trying new possibilities that figures out how to push the bounds on those metrics long term. And this process of using reinforcement learning or contextual multi-arm bandits is maybe one flavor of this, which people have seen in the past, actually leads to better overall business outcomes and business metrics. Because again, when you're doing like an A/B test, if you have 100 possibilities and you just split them evenly across your population, you're wasting a lot of your resources as a marketing team and your attention with your customers. Whereas if you start doubling down on what's working and discarding things that are not working, you can actually save the amount of sample you're using for better possibilities, leading to better outcomes faster as a marketing team. And of course, the platform that we're building towards, we have a big vision with. It's not just a better A/B testing tool. What we're actually doing is layering in models and just software functionality that solves some of the challenges that marketing teams face all the time. So an example is like incrementality, right? We've all faced this on media platforms where Facebook's just optimizing towards who would click anyways, right? And not optimizing towards who would have not taken this action if we didn't send an ad. So we're layering and like uplift models and to handle for incrementality as an example. Or just solving problems like how do we balance the volume of emails we can send out each week or push notifications between different goals in the business based on their weighting and customer propensity. So kind of cross-agent decisioning, or LLMs for content analysis. And before I go on, I want to pass it back to Jon to share a little bit about the strategic implications of all this technology. Because in the end of the day, technology is only one piece, but definitely changes how you organize your teams, how we hire, and how we think about scaling as a marketing org.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I said the phrase, that this was a paradigm shift for me, and I think that gets thrown around a lot, but it really, truly has caused our entire leadership team to stop and question how we're doing so much on our team. And when I think about what the marketing team of the future looks like, sometimes there's more questions than answers, but I think I have some like general guidelines where I've settled here. One is that, before, so much of building out a marketing team was about getting the work done. It's like, how do you actually produce each piece of work that has to get done? And how the work gets done has just changed dramatically. And so this is true for me from a hiring perspective, but then also I think for individual marketers is like how the work gets done is less important now. And the bottleneck starts to be about understanding what the business really needs to accomplish and understanding your product really well, and then understanding your customer really well. So it's like both sides of that sort of spectrum now have become increasingly important, and the middle of like just getting the work done is not as important. And that's really exciting news for a lot of us, I think, who were spending too much time on the actual like how we were getting stuff done. But it also means that that's, being good at the how, being really good at sending emails reliably is not a good enough skill anymore. My expectations for my marketing team have just risen because I know now what's possible to get done and the sheer amount of output and quality of output that's possible to get done in, a few days. And so yeah, it's dramatically changed the way that we think about these things. And the technology is as bad now as it'll ever be. But I think it's an exciting change because clearly our ability to actually like optimize for business objectives in a really efficient way have just risen exponentially in an incredibly short period of time, thanks in large part to tools like AID.
Cool. And I know we're running short on time here, but just wanted to close it out by saying something that I'm really passionate about, at Hightouch, is that I truly believe that AI technologies have like a twofold impact, right? It's not just efficiency and speeding up things that we would have done anyways as a marketing team. That's part of it, right? But the other part of it is also allowing us to as marketers, get more performance out of the content and the strategies and the possibilities that we were playing with before with technologies like AI decisioning. And it's really a two-part equation. And I think what's really exciting about all of this is, when we look at Jon's team at Fundrise, for example, each and every person on the marketing org is able to be a lot more strategic versus being bogged down in the tactics and the operations of things, which is obviously a common problem across all roles. So thank you for coming to the talk today. We'll be at booth 636 for the rest of the day, and we'll hang out here for questions or anything like that after this talk as well. But appreciate it.